Who is the most sadistic 10-year-old in the entirety of the DC universe in all of existence? Who is the Robin King? Let's talk about him. But before we do, let me say thank you for watching JL's Comics. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. I upload videos just like this every single week. Let's jump into our story. Ever since the Batman Who Laughs emerged from the Dark Multiverse in 2017, the DC universe has faced an onslaught of nightmares from that very underrealm. Most of these horrifying creatures are manifestations of Batman's worst nightmares and times in his life when things went very wrong or could have gone horribly left when they should have gone right. The Dark Multiverse was described by the Batman Who Laughs. Imagine if your every fear, each bad decision gave birth to a malformed world of nightmare, a world that shouldn't exist. And desperate as it fights to survive in the light of the true multiverse far above. These worlds are doomed to rot apart and die because they are wrong at their core. Welcome to the Dark Multiverse, home to stories that should never be. End quote. At the beginning of time, creation by the presence formed both light and dark energies, and the foundation of magic within the DC universe. The light energy became a god named Hecate. The dark energy became a terrible creature named the Upside Down Man. Hecate sent her twisted brother to the other place, the darkness beneath the multiverse, and created a barrier between those two realms, locking him down there in perpetuity. He was trapped there with his legions of servants, known as the Other Kind. But what this did was seal off the balance to her power that all things needed, the yin to her yang. So the gods created Eclipso to replace him in the Prime Universe, and the Lords of Order and Chaos stole Hecate's magic for themselves. As Wally West described it, all the power in reality gathered around two poles. Positive energy was things like the Speed Force and the emotional spectrum, things that link and bind and give, and which were derived from the Source, that mysterious, omnipresent, metaphysical force that's pervasive throughout the DC universe. The opposite of that are forces that disrupt and are based on greed and selfishness. They're anti-life, chaos magic, and forces of doom. These negative energies are called crisis energies. So later, a race of supremely powerful cosmic beings known as super celestials were creating entirely new worlds and universes. And one of these super celestials was named Perpetua, and Perpetua was bad. Perpetua created the Dark Multiverse using 7 unnatural energies and 3 base forms of matter: positive matter, dark matter, and antimatter. Perpetua had 3 sons: the Monitor, the Anti-Monitor, and Alpheus, also known as the World Forger. Perpetua's 3 sons were tasked with monitoring each of the 3 matter types. Perpetua tasked Alpheus with monitoring the worlds beneath the Omniverse, with which she created using crisis energy instead of positive energy, in that void where Hecate trapped Upside Down Man. And he did so using his cosmic forge, the World Forger, and the energy it contained. One of her sons looked into the neighboring universes and found that they had no equal to Perpetua, and he properly deduced that her function was to create the universe and then die and give her energy, her body, to that universe in a great cycle of life and death. But Perpetua resisted this cycle, and she lived on beyond her predestined function, which broke that natural harmony, that natural cycle of life. Her sons alerted the judges of the Source to what she was doing, and so they imprisoned Perpetua in the Source Wall. They couldn't kill her because she would reform in the 6th dimension, which is this sort of penthouse control room outside of space and time and imagination, from where she and those beings like her shape and reshape the multiverse. So instead of killing her, they trapped her in the Source Wall instead. Alpheus also created a devious demon known as Bat God, Barbatos, to rule over his underworld, and who would destroy the unstable worlds that Alpheus made so their energy could be returned to the Forge to be recycled and reused to create new ones. Eventually, Barbatos killed Alpheus, unnaturally ending this cycle too, and those dying worlds were allowed to continue on, their energy not recycled. It was an abomination of nature and a knife in the heart of the natural order of things. They lived on, yet were rotting at their core and deteriorating back to non-existence. And as the veil between worlds thinned and weakened, the heroes of Prime Earth were able to bring 5 metals together, like nth metal, promethium, and dionysium, to create a portal to travel to and from the Dark Multiverse, allowing creations to spill over to the other side. As Perpetua returned, broken free of her Source Wall imprisonment now, she began feeding off the crisis energy from 3 different worlds in the Dark Multiverse, where DC's crisis events were constantly unfolding and the heroes were constantly losing. One of these worlds was an Earth, known as Earth -22. The positive opposite to Earth -22 is known as Earth 22, the Kingdom Come world, an Elseworld story by Mark Waid, where the Joker died and whose death served as a catalyst for a great apocalyptic event. Also, Kingdom Come is a name for heaven, so an opposite to that, a shadowy mirror to it would be hell, a place where the Joker still died, but it became wrong. That is Earth -22. Barbatos had an executive officer, a second in command, a leader of the Dark Knights named the Batman Who Laughs, and Batman Who Laughs hails from this Earth -22. It was Barbatos who brought the evil Batman alternates together, and it's Barbatos whom, as he claims, is the one Batman first saw, which gave rise to his Black Bat identity. Barbatos' new team consisted of Batman Who Laughs, Red Death, Murder Machine, Devastator, the Drowned, the Merciless, and the Dawnbreaker. They all represented Batman Justice League amalgams with an evil twist. The Batman Who Laughs was the Bruce Wayne, the Batman of Earth -22. The Joker of this world paralyzed Bruce Wayne and forced him to watch as he recreated his parents' murders, killing the parents and torturing the kids whom he injected with his Joker toxin and who would later become his Groblin slaves. The Joker had nanotoxins in his heart, and when Batman killed him, the nanotoxins were released, which merged the Dark Knight with the Clown Prince of Crime into a horrible new creation, and this new creation quickly killed, maimed, and murdered his way across the world. Those surviving Joker toxin-infected children became the Batman Who Laughs tribe of feral, zombified Robins that he kept on chains at his feet like attack dogs. They could only say crow, to which Batman Who Laughs would reply bar, representing the crowbar that smashed the face of Jason Todd, one of Batman's Robins, and the crowbar which killed him. It was one of Batman's worst moments in times of greatest loss in his life. Thus, the Batman Who Laughs sought to exploit it. And these Groblins are known as the Dark Robins. He also had another cannibalistic, undead version of Damian Wayne by his side. Another version of Batman merged with Darkseid to become the Dark Father, a portmanteau of Darkseid and Highfather. He turned the parademons into para-Robins. Yet another version of Bruce Wayne followed the Batman that we know from Prime Earth. One night in Crime Alley, after the family went to a theater to watch Zorro, Joe Chill shot and killed Martha and Thomas Wayne. And this Bruce picked up Joe Chill's handgun and shot Joe dead on the concrete. Now this Bruce had no aversion to guns and weapons, and he grew up and became the Grim Knight. But what if the story can go darker? What if that fateful night didn't change Bruce to evil like it did with the other versions? What if Bruce was always evil? This Bruce Wayne was a sadistic psychopath who would kill animals and harass the Wayne's butler Alfred Pennyworth. He strangled a goldfish with his hands, pushed a worker off the roof of their mansion, and cooked a cat in a microwave. This Wayne family still went to a theater one night where instead of Zorro they saw Beware the Grey Ghost, the title of a Batman the Animated Series episode from Season 1. A curious reference. This was interestingly not the mask of Zorro as Batman Who Laughs has on continuous repeat in the Gotham City of his world, and is the traditional movie that appears in Batman's origin. After the Waynes left the movie, they ran into Joe Chill in a cold, dark alleyway. But this Bruce slit Joe Chill's throat and stole his weapon, and he killed his own parents with Joe Chill's weapon and then put the gun in Joe's hand to make it look like he did it. In the Robin King one-shot from Halloween 2020, we learn that at his parents' funeral, Bruce stood there in the rain, feeling free. And as the knife-like rain cut through the dark sky and the sounds of thousands of bats beat the air beneath their feet, Bruce heard a cheerful, carefree robin singing in the dark, singing in a cemetery tree. It was at that moment that he decided to become a robin himself. Because Bruce's parents died and it looked like Joe Chill did it, Bruce actually inherited the entire Wayne fortune, which was part of his plan. He wanted to inherit all the money instead of saving his parents. Bruce then set about making a utility belt for himself, using up the Wayne fortune to make it. And he filled it with death and torture and pain. Unholy water, kryptonite, Smilex Joker toxin, Lazarus pit water, nth metal cuffs, Lobo hook, and other tools of evil. He vowed to use it to kill everyone who called themselves heroes, those who forced him to do good, moms, dads, false idols. He wanted to inspire darkness and death, to burn all that was old and make a nest in the fiery ruins of destruction left behind. He chose to take on this Robin symbolism so that he could sing his evil to the world. He was free to be depraved and evil, and he didn't have to hide behind the guise of being a nice kid. Bruce then killed Jim Gordon, who was investigating the Wayne's murder. In the one shot, we learned that Bruce gave him a bird signal light, and when Jim turned it on, it activated a microwave cannon which burned his face so badly his skin was bubbling. Bruce put on a Robin costume and bludgeoned Alfred to death at the mansion. And then, covered in blood with Alfred lifeless at his feet, he said, "Do you hear that? It's the sound of the Robin King, and a new spring is coming." Harley Quinn figured out who this Robin King really was, and she was the first to do it, so she came to put him down to stop him with her mallet. She broke into Wayne Manor to kill the kid, and she almost succeeded, but Robin King shot Harley Quinn dead. He then turned Firestorm into a black hole whose body's cells collapsed inward, which killed him too. He stole Stephen Savage's World War II era biplane by jumping on a wing and shooting him in the head, and then he used the machine guns mounted on the biplane to kill Hans von Hammer, the enemy ace. He shot him down right out of the skies above Gotham City. He reverse engineered Adam Strange's Zeta beam into an ATES, which is Zeta backwards, beam to kill Strange and steal Adam Strange's jetpack. He used an nth metal and kryptonite-coated lightning rod like a spear, and he pierced Hawkman and Hawkgirl, stabbing them right out of the air. And then he killed Plastic Man and crushed his neck. And there, in the fiery wreckage of his battle, in the rain and blood and coldness of a Gotham City night, the Batman Who Laughs appeared. Batman Who Laughs told Robin King about the Dark Multiverse, that his world was one of many, that he was real, yet his world was unimportant in the greater scheme of things. So Batman brought Robin King to his world, to Earth -22, where his castle was, where the Batman Who Laughs was capturing and torturing Batman from different worlds to create his Dark Knights. He saw the boys running around, some in cages, some were being submerged in a green Robin toxin in these giant vats to become goblins, which were meant to serve the Batman. He realized Batman Who Laughs intended him to befall the same fate as the other goblins. So he quickly took a pill he'd had hidden in his belt, a pill which preserved a part of his mind. He'd wanted to use it on Martian Manhunter when he burned him alive so that he'd still have his consciousness and be tortured to the last possible minute. And so Robin King was submerged in this green liquid, and when he rose again, he was now a goblin, although he secretly perched his mind in a nest deep in his own head. After Diana killed Batman Who Laughs with her chainsaw of truth, he merged with a Bruce Wayne Dr. Manhattan amalgam named Batmanhattan to become the Darkest Knight. This new Batman, this one who laughs, crowned his former Dark Robin Groblin as his Robin King, setting him free from the Groblin toxin, and he croaked out a new word. Crow became crown. Robin King proudly wears his crown of thorns. Later, as Flash and the Justice Society attempted to rob Perpetua of her crisis energy and redirect it to Wally West, cutting off her means of growing stronger, this is where they first ran into the Robin King. The Flash joked about his accoutrement on his belt. They were hesitant to take this 10-year-old seriously. Then, with a devious smile on his face, he told Flash that his belt contained ways of killing every hero on the world. He told Barry that on his world he dug up Barry's dead mother and covered her remains in a Speed Force canceling toxin that liquefies muscles. He then stuffed her rotting corpse inside a flash ring. The young psychopath then said that when the ring is activated, her lifeless limbs fling out like she's trying to give you a hug as she pops out, he said. It was sick. In true Dark Multiverse form, he weaponized Barry's inner turmoil and sadness. It was depraved and vile, and that innate wickedness rendered all that much more disturbing coming from someone with such a young, naive, and happily upbeat appearance and affect. His first in-panel attacks in this story came in Dark Knight's death metal Trinity Crisis. In the book, another group of heroes were penetrating Castle Bat when Swamp Thing, channeling his inner Ray Bradbury, turned to Harley Quinn and said, "Something evil this way comes." As Robin King emerged from a portal, Swamp Thing lashed out at Robin King with his wood, but Robin King dodged it, saying he was faster on his world. He landed some hits on the boy before he was killed. He then told them that the R on his costume isn't what you think. He told them it's coated in the blood of Abby and Anton Arcane. The R on Robin King's clothes does not represent the name Robin as it does on Prime Earth. No, Robin King's R stands for rot. He used it to injure Swamp Thing by throwing it right at him like a throwing star. Then Robin shot Jonah Hex with a bullet that eats necrotic tissue. Batman had resurrected Jonah Hex with his black lightning ring, so he was susceptible to the bullet's powers. He grinned devilishly at Harley Quinn as Jonah dissolved and melted away in a cloud of ashes. In Death Metal 4, Robin King was dragging the conscious carcass of Jonah Hex around. He revealed that the knife on his blade was forged by Neron, Lord of Hell. He says if you're stabbed with it and are a sinner, you're sent to the lowest, hottest pit of hell. And in that pit of hell, sadistic demons take the form of those you sinned against, and they flay your flesh day after day after day for eternity. So he stabbed Jonah Hex in the head with this blade forged by Neron as Harley Quinn lunged at him in anger. But then he produced a mallet, the same mallet that the Harley on Robin King's world tried to kill him with. He was going on with a cutting psychoanalysis of the former psychologist about why they never see Harley who laughs. He says she was always corrupt. Even though she left Joker and went the anti-hero route, Robin King tells her she was born bad. There was no more to corrupt. Then Swamp Thing collapsed a pile of rock on top of the Kid King, and they escaped. But as the world drew down to the last 52, the Darkest Knight brought his King of Pain to the feet of Batman's Trinity. Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Blue Beetle, Animal Man, and Red Tornado also showed up. Animal Man managed to get a hit in on the kid before he made quick work of them all. Robin King actually brought Animal Man's family back to life with a corrupted anti-life equation, and then his own undead family ate Animal Man alive. He then went back to the Trinity, showing them his Trinity rings. One was made of kryptonite, meant for Superman, one a pearl of blood ring for bats, meant for Batman, and the other a special diamond forged in the fires of Hephaestus, meant for Wonder Woman. But before he could slaughter the heroes, the Darkest Knight returned to collect his boy King. He told them that the pill he took in the Robin pit actually infused the water he was submerged in. And so the Groblins, after him, retained a small bit of free will, and they were watching the Robin King as he went around killing people. Batman Who Laughs wanted the Groblins to know that hope was fake, so that they'd still crow for the Darkest Night. But they saw what he was doing, and there was hope there. They wanted to follow their Robin King, and so now the Robin King has his own army of Groblins, as his creator ascends even higher, and the world continues to be doomed, and death metal beats on. As writer Scott Snyder describes him, the Batman Who Laughs is terrifying to me because he's Bruce Wayne who was once good but is now wholly evil. And the horror of that transition being so final and so deadly is what makes him so scary. He's Batman gone evil at the peak of his career. The Robin King is evil in the way Batman Who Laughs is, but he's almost scarier to me because he was always that way. He's never been anything else. As a child, all he did was think about ways to kill his heroes. And that, my friends, is the story of Robin King. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be one of the first to know when I upload videos just like this every single week. I'm Jesse, this is JLS Comics, and I'll see you soon.